51 voted to reopen. We needed 60. These 9 either voted no or refused to vote at all. All 9 compromised by foreign money.
The evidence is irrefutable, sir. Each senator received substantial payments from hostile foreign state actors to block the reopening.
These aren't senators serving America. They're foreign assets.
Mitchell, Williams, Harrison, all 9 will face justice.
Sir, the senators are panicking. Multiple calls between Mitchell, Williams, Harrison, and the others. When you show America the foreign payments, federal marshals arrest them.
The moment you name them on air, arrest teams move.
I hope you like that little cinematic adaptation I just prepared for you. Yes, an ongoing series. But listen, the swamp creatures are eating their own. Behind closed doors in the Capitol, terrified Democrats are whispering about the political guillotine waiting for anyone who dares vote to reopen government. Speaker Johnson dropping the bomb that changes everything. Insider Democrats admit they have the votes to end this right now, and the nuclear option is on the table. Chuck Schumer has them paralyzed with fear. While 1 million federal workers suffer without paychecks, while our troops and TSA agents work without pay, these cowards choose their political survival over America's survival. See, the president has a clean bill ready to go. No tricks, no pork, just reopening government. But the deep state would rather watch the country burn than let Trump win. And while Democrats play shutdown games with your paycheck, there is one man who has been preparing Americans for the tough times ahead. Talking about Chuck Norris. He recently made a video. It shocked me. At 84 years old, he's stronger, has more energy than guys half his age, and it's all because of one simple change. Even through government chaos and uncertain times, Chuck stays combat ready by addressing 3 things that sabotage our health as we age. His wife started doing it too. She looks and feels 10 years younger. When the establishment fails us, we need to be at our strongest. Chuck's method is so simple, yet so powerful. Visit chuckdefense.com/next or click the link below to watch the video, because when Washington shuts down, your health shouldn't. Again, chuckdefense.com/next. Prepare your body for whatever comes next. And we thank Chuck Norris for sponsoring this program. Now let's dive into the tweets and posts that we've got bookmarked on X that expose exactly how this shutdown conspiracy is playing out. Now make sure you watch the screen as we go through these bombshell revelations from the insiders and officials. But starting first with President Trump, just a few hours ago, he had an event in the new Rose Garden Club. Rose Garden Club, Mar-a-Lago Club, yes, they're very similar, even the umbrellas. President Trump, though, addressing the Democrat shutdown. Let's jump to the president in the Rose Garden.
We've already seen the impacts of the dangerous game that they're playing. Democrats are causing delays in our air traffic control system. So important.
Wow.
We wouldn't have had, there's Pete Buttigieg. He spent billions of dollars on fixing the air traffic control that used copper wire going into glass wire. Any union electrician here or any non-union electrician would say you can't hook copper into glass. It doesn't work. They spent billions of dollars. They turned on the system, and it was stone cold blank. We're getting a brand new system. We have bids out now. We have 3 great companies bidding, and I want one bid. Sean Duffy's doing terrifically. I want one bid. I want just bid, and they're responsible for everything. Not where they had like 1,000 contractors. Every contractor, they were all running around. In the end, if one of them does a bad job, we want to be able to blame somebody, and it's going to be one of the very big companies because there's a lot of interest in it. So the air traffic control system is going to be rebuilt. Over 1 million federal workers right now, as you know, are going unpaid. That's the Democrats' fault.
Wow.
And children, tourists, unable to visit the museums in Washington, D.C., that we now have beautiful, safe streets, but we don't have the museums open. We should probably just open them. But we are doing things that nobody's ever done, nobody's ever seen. So all of this and the pain that the Democrats have caused during this reckless and completely unnecessary affair, and you could call it the Schumer shutdown or the Democrat shutdown, you can call it whatever you want. And we've already seen the impacts of the
1 million federal workers. Nope, not getting paid. President Trump calling on every Senate Democrat to stop the madness.
Back Today, I'm calling on every Senate Democrat to stop the madness, to let our country get back. In the greatest moment in the history of our country in terms of wealth, in terms of job creation, and in terms of investment coming in, these guys go on strike. It's really a shame. So I'm asking them to be smart. It's not working. They're getting killed in the polls. The public understands what they're doing. They're doing the wrong thing. Today, I'm calling on every Senate Democrat to
end the frickin' madness. Senate Republicans writing 7 hours ago.
Some Republicans
writing, "This is deranged." Senator Heinrich says he will not vote to pay our troops, TSA agents, or law enforcement because it gives the president more leverage. Think about what he's saying here. TSA agents, troops, just political pawns in their game to hamstring the president of the United States and our country at large.
Some Republican senators have pushed a bill that would pay government workers who have not been furloughed as part of the government shutdown. Those who have been furloughed would still be without pay. Is this something you would support?
I'm not going to pit some of my government employees against other government employees. I think that just gives the president more leverage to really make the situation worse and treat some government employees with incredible disdain. We've already seen a lot of government employees fired during the shutdown who didn't need to be fired. This is an administration that's very hostile to government employees. I have a lot of those folks in my state, and I'm not going to turn my back on any of them.
So some Republican senators have
his leverage. Wow. Talking out of both sides of his mouth. Here's a TSA agent appearing on MSNBC urging Democrats to pass the clean CR.
To get involved in their message is to do their jobs on Capitol Hill, which is fund the government, keep it open, just like we come to work every day. We take an oath to protect and uphold the Constitution. They should be doing the same. We don't want to get involved in a political component. We're tired of being political pawns on a chessboard for either party to be used as pawns.
What do you think of what the Democrats are arguing, which is that they need to keep going on this because they have to get health care subsidies extended? They're gonna run out, and they need folks to get this money. Bernie Sanders says 50,000 people a year could die if they lose access to health care.
Yeah, well, that's for political.
Because they have to get health care subsidies extended. They're gonna run out, and they need folks to get this money. Bernie Sanders says 50,000 people a year could die if they lose access to health care.
Yeah, well, that's for political negotiators to negotiate, and for them to negotiate, I think they've made their point. So it's time for them to return to the bargaining table, address these issues. But passing a continuing resolution is the opinion of the union, and allow folks to address these issues as they should. This partisanship doesn't work out well for the frontline federal workforce across the country.
Johnny Jones, really good to have you. Thank you for joining us today, and I'm sorry you're...
Yep, those are real people and real lives being affected. Here's Senator John Barrasso talking about the government at the Rose Garden Club.
21 days. The Republicans here are united, and we're united in standing strong with President Trump. This government has been closed now for 21 days, and the Democrats have had a chance to reopen it 11 times, and each time they voted no. No to reopen the government, no to pay the troops, no to pay the Border Patrol, TSA agents, people who do flight control, all of those things critical for our nation. The Democrats continued to vote no. And why is that? It's because they're afraid, as what one Democrat Senate staffer said, they're afraid of facing the guillotine of the radical left. And who are the radical left? They are the people who would prefer to use taxpayer dollars to pay for health care for illegal immigrants than to pay for the men and women who keep us safe. The Democrats are holding this country hostage. It's time for it to end. It's time to reopen the government for all of the people of the United States.
Reopen. See, they're too afraid. They're afraid of the radical left going in to devour them if they cross them. Here we have us, Leader John Thune.
Republicans had a great opportunity to meet with the president and talk about something that unifies all Republicans. Senate Republicans, House Republicans, and the President of the United States are all in favor of reopening the federal government. In fact, so much so that we've now all voted 11 times to reopen the federal government. But the longer the federal government stays closed, the more the impacts are being felt. Travel delays, benefit delays, farmers are being impacted, millions of people going without paychecks. That's what this government shutdown, Democrat government shutdown, is bringing to the American people. So we're hopeful that this will be the week when we break out of this and the Democrats come to their senses and decide to open up the government. We're going to give them several opportunities, as you know, to do that. We'll have another vote on the continuing resolution tomorrow, which is sitting at the desk of the Senate. It can be sent down here to the White House, signed into law. The government would open up immediately. We're also going to vote on a Ron Johnson resolution that essentially would pay anybody who's currently working. So we'll see how the Democrats react to that. But the truth of the matter is, you have a bunch of people here, a united team that believes profoundly that we need to get our government open. And if the Democrats want to talk about subjects unrelated to the government, getting the government open again, we're happy to have those conversations. But we've repeatedly now gone through this, and at some point the Democrats are going to have to say yes for an answer. We want a normal appropriations process. We want to give them an opportunity to sit down and litigate some of the issues they want to talk about, but that can't happen until the government gets opened up again.
They do not care at all. They'd rather see this country burn to the ground than give President Trump a win. Here's more from Thune. People keep saying negotiate. Negotiate what? All right, they just had the 11th vote, still closed. 12th vote on the horizon.
Dollars in new spending. This is about opening up the government. We have offered them several off-ramps now. The Democrats want something that's totally untenable, as Senator Barrasso said. I mean, they want $1.5 trillion in new spending. They want free health care for people who are non-citizens in this country. That is just a flat non-starter. It doesn't pass the Senate. It won't pass the House. It won't be signed into law by the President. What you do have is a bill that's passed the House, sitting at the desk in the Senate, that the President's prepared to sign to open up the government. So I'm not sure. People keep saying, negotiate. Negotiate what? I don't know what that is right now. The government needs to open up, and then we're happy to sit down and talk about any other issues that Democrats want to talk about. This is about
that's
opening
the point. You get the CR going, government reopen, then you can have those discussions that they're screaming about. But they know those discussions won't go anywhere because we have the majority. It's ridiculous. The only leverage they have is this shutdown. Rapid Response 47 says, someone please tell Pocahontas that the clean bill to reopen, the bill to reopen the government is a clean funding bill. There is nothing to negotiate. Radical Democrats like her want to restore free health care benefits to illegals, which is not going to happen. Pay our workers and reopen government. Here is Pocahontas. She is 1/1000th Native American, according to her own ancestry DNA records. Here she is on MSNBC.
You see where does this end? How do you see the off-ramp happening?
I think it ends when Donald Trump tells the Republicans, okay, sit down now and negotiate.
Then where does this end? How do you see
sit down and negotiate? There's nothing to negotiate. We do not negotiate with terrorists. Speaker Johnson revealing Democrat insiders are admitting privately they're terrified of getting the political guillotine if they reopen the government under a simple, clean CR. We have enough votes to reopen the government.
Simple facts. We mean nonpartisan CR, they're going to get hammered. Another insider said in that same story, quote, we would have enough votes to reopen the government if people were not terrified of getting the guillotine. Okay? They mean it metaphorically, but in a political sense, that's exactly what they're concerned about. Now think about the fact that we're just laying out here. These are simple facts. We come out here every morning and remind the American people of what's going on. Do not let them distract you from the facts. The American people would have an open government if Democrats were not terrified of their radical base. That is the headline. Every single one of you should write that. That's the ugly truth. The Democrats are not governing in good faith. They're covering their own tail. They're out here decrying the so-called forthcoming health care crisis, they say. It's the one that they themselves created. The Democrats created Obamacare. They're the ones that created a subsidy with an expiration date. They're the ones that did all of this. Republicans are trying to fix it. And they're trying to blame Republicans for the crisis they themselves created. They cry foul when we won't bail them out of their own shutdown. I don't have anything to offer, as I've explained. I don't have any partisan priority I can pull off of the CR to make it more palatable for them. There's nothing to negotiate. They just have to do what they've always done in the past, that they did 13 times during the Biden administration, and they did as recently as March of this year, to open the government so that people can get their services and their paychecks.
What is the nuclear option? Ending the filibuster. That's on the table. Senator Ashley Moody, the Democrats, you got to do what's best for this country.
The topic of conversation needs to be, how do we impress upon the Democrats that the time for you to shore up your radical cred, the I Hate America rallies and theatrics are over. You have got to do what's best for this country, the people that are relying on paychecks to provide for their families. You need to buck Schumer, man up, and vote for this bipartisan clean funding bill so we can open back up this country. It is incredibly important that the Dems understand this is on them. We voted 11 times last night, the 11th vote, and they continue to keep this government shut down for nonsense to appease some radical base, and I assume so that Chuck Schumer can shore up his radical creds. Yeah, the topic of conversation needs to be...
The radical left is holding this country hostage through their puppet Chuck Schumer, who is happy to take a knee with them. Senator John Barrasso says Republicans are united. We're seeing here Democrats practicing the politics of pain. Huh. Oh, my God.
TSA agents, Republicans are united, and I expect the president to say, stand strong. What we're seeing here are the Democrats practicing the politics of pain, and it's the American people who are suffering the pain. And it's the millions of military members, TSA agents, Border Patrol, people who go to work every day, and they're wondering when will they get their next paycheck. I talked to someone in Wyoming yesterday who's in that category, and they're saying, still got to put food on the table, try to feed the kids. How are we going to do that? The Democrats don't seem to care about any of those Americans. They care more about the people in their left wing who want to provide health care for illegal immigrants paid for by taxpayers rather than pay the men and women in uniform. It's wrong. They're afraid of their liberal base. Republicans...
Sounds kind of treasonous to me. I don't know. I'm not a legal scholar, but maybe someone will weigh in the comments. Daily Wire, Caroline Levitt posting this. For the record, President Trump wants everyone to get paid because he wants to reopen the government. She was quote tweeting the Daily Wire 24 hours ago. If Congress just said we're not going to take our paychecks until we figure this out, that would be a noble step in the right direction. Bernie Sanders entering the hen house at The View.
For the politicians, it's easier for the politicians in D.C. to go away from each other and say, we will win this way, while people are losing their paychecks. If Congress just said, we're not going to take our paychecks till we figure this out, that would be a noble step in the right direction, I would say.
That's not everybody can afford to do. You got some young people there with kids there.
Either can the people that aren't getting paid, though,
I think
and
that's
there's a holdout.
I think that's a fair point.
It's easier for the politicians.
Bernie, he just got burned. Sue knows best, writes, why the hell haven't governors of these states been arrested for fraud? Governors like Gavin Newsom are billing taxpayers when illegals access normal services at hospitals. The catch, he's defrauding you and me, the taxpayer, by billing those services as emergency services so he can get federal taxpayer dollars. He's allowing illegals to use the emergency room like a walk-in clinic. That's fraud, and he should be held accountable. Oh, really?
Well, raise our...
Illegal immigrants are not the reason why our healthcare system is broken.
Yeah, it's not deflection at all. In fact, I brought receipts. So here's the CMS, the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, right here with their press release earlier this year saying they were having to increase their oversight on states like California who were abusing Medicaid and classifying it as an EUSA, an emergency system, when it wasn't. You've got the average state spends 5% of its Medicaid roughly on emergency services. California, 35 to 40%. Why would that be? Because California passed a state law that says we will fund Medicaid for illegals, and then, oh, by the way, we'll raise our provider taxes, and then, oh, by the way, we'll use that as a match to draw down federal funds. And they're using this whole cavitation process.
An accounting trick to put it on the taxpayer.
Money is fungible, and California's loophole is abusing it.
Listen, and we...
All right, back from CNN. Ooh, that was a lively one. And they hate it when you bring receipts. But let's talk about that Medicaid thing for a minute, because what you have right now is a thing called the California loophole. Liberals hate it when you bring receipts, but the California loophole is real. And the reason why the left wants to get this whole spending package revised right now is because they want to be able to fund Medicaid for illegals like California is doing. The Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services earlier this year said they were having to increase their oversight. Why? Because California, New York, other states like that were abusing the Medicaid process by turning their emergency rooms into free clinics and then classifying everything as an emergency service and submitting it for federal matching dollars. Not supposed to work that way. Life-giving, life-saving treatment, yes, that's the Hippocratic Oath. Treating somebody for the common cold and giving them basic medical care and calling it emergencies because they walked into an emergency room and then billing the U.S. taxpayer dollars, that's called fraud. It needs to stop. And that's exactly what Republicans are trying to do. It's pretty simple. Yes.
That is absolutely insane. Who knew? But of course, it's California. And, they need to turn those people into voters. That's exactly how they'll do it. Curtis Houck writing on CBS's Tony Dokupul cooks Bernie Sanders over the government shutdown when Sanders doubles down and insists Republicans are murdering 50,000 people a year.
You said people gonna die?
That's what they're saying, Jar Jar. That's what they're saying. Let's listen.
Let's reopen the government first. He can't guarantee the outcome, but you'll get the vote. Why isn't that no good?
Well, I'll tell you why it's no good. Right now, as I think everybody knows, our current healthcare system is broken. It's dysfunctional. We spend twice as much per person as the people of any other country, 85 million uninsured. We don't have enough doctors, nurses, dentists, et cetera. It's a broken system. What Trump did in his big, beautiful bill is to throw 15 million low-income and working-class people off the health care they currently have by massive cuts in Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. You know what studies show, guys? Let's talk about this. Studies show that when you throw 15 million low-income and working-class people off health care, 50,000 people a year will die unnecessarily. They don't have the money to go to a doctor. They have a chronic illness. They will die. And then on top of that, all over the country, in my state of Vermont, all over the country, people right now are receiving notices from their insurance companies. Their premiums are going to go up by 20%, by double.
So open the government and vote on it. Make the case.
Really? No. And let 50,000 people die if Trump vetoes the legislation, if the House doesn't deal with the legislation. You know what's going on right now in the House? The Speaker of the House, Mr. Johnson, has given his people a 5-week vacation. They're not even in Washington, D.C. Before I vote on a bill that will right now allow 50,000 people to die unnecessarily, I want it absolutely clear that that will not happen, period.
But meantime, you could have the president is saying that the shutdown's a chance for Republicans to cut programs left and right that they don't like, that you like. So how long are you willing to let this ride for losses?
Look, I cannot allow, in good conscience, 50,000 people a year to die unnecessarily, and in my state and all over this country. Health premiums, you think you're paying enough out there right now? Look at doubling premiums for 20 million people, sometimes tripling, quadrupling.
So you don't
think you can win a vote? How do we get out of this with both sides blaming the other? Still, nobody's talking.
Yeah, they're just pointing the finger.
I think that's what's so frustrating to the people.
That is the greatest soundbite ever. I'm getting so much mileage out of it. Anyway, speaking of the greatest soundbite ever, this just in. President Trump says Chuck Schumer mentally gone. He's gonzo.
Chuck Schumer, but I would say he would be the leader of the party. It's not Schumer. Schumer's shot. He's shot. This poor guy, I feel sorry for him. I don't know him for a long time, but I think he's mentally gone. He's been beat up by young, radical lunatics. And I think Chuck Schumer he's gonzo. I really do. I think he's probably not going to run. It shows that he's losing in every poll. Now, this is hard. You know, he wants to meet with me. It's sort of hard to meet with a guy after I make a statement like that, but I'm just giving you the facts. I think Chuck is probably finished.
Oh, wait. What if you offer him a free sombrero? You think he'll show up? Maybe some nachos, some salsa, some chips, some queso dip? Bring the sombreros, President Trump.
I know some people, Democrats, that would be good. Some good politicians and some, reasonable people. But I understand that they would not have a chance of, getting even the concept of holding the torch. They're not going to get it. But they have some people that I really believe they're low IQ people. They're stupid people. And they seem to be leading the party. But I would say he would be the leader of the party. It's not Schumer. Schumer's shot. He's shot. This poor guy, I feel sorry for him. I've known him for a long time, but I think he's mentally gone. He's been beat up by young, radical lunatics.
Let's keep that.
And I think Chuck Schumer he's gonzo.
He's gonzo. Yeah. Say goodbye, Chuck Schumer. He's already taken a knee right alongside AOC. Caroline Leavitt, she just wants to keep government open. She's right. Now, Democrats want to undo policy. What's this? Let's see.
Wanted to negotiate. If there is this one provision in the Democratic proposal that the White House disagrees with, what's to stop you from negotiating over other provisions where there may be some common ground? We haven't wanted to negotiate. We just want to keep the government open. That's been the Republican and the Trump White House position since the very beginning. We wanted to pass a clean continuing resolution. We still do, to keep the government open. And then we can negotiate on all of these policy matters. It's the Democrats who injected partisan politics into keeping the government and the business of the American people open. But Republicans do this when they're in the minority, too. They see an opportunity to gain some leverage and have a negotiation. Why is it okay if Republicans do it, but not when Democrats do it? Democrats have voted for the clean continuing resolution that Republicans introduced 13 times in the past. 13 times. They voted for it as recently as March. And now all of a sudden, they are shutting the government down and they are holding our country hostage over a partisan political matter that the vast majority of the country disagrees with. And they know it's so unpopular that they're now running away from it. I saw some senators on television this morning saying, we don't want to give health care benefits to illegal aliens. Yes, you do. Roll the tape. You can see time and time again, Democrats have supported that. They've voted for it, and they did it under Joe Biden. And we stopped it. The president stopped it with the passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And now they want to undo the president's very popular policy to ensure that taxpayer-funded health care benefits only go to tax-paying, law-abiding American citizens.
Seems reasonable, doesn't it? Just Americans get those benefits? Here's an ABC host talking with Hakeem Jeffries, otherwise known as Timu Obama.
Now, what Senator Thune is offering there is to have a vote on a Democratic or bipartisan plan to extend those subsidies so people's premiums don't go up, as they will now dramatically in January, if the Democrats simply agree to vote to have that temporary funding extension. Is that something you would be willing to agree with? You get your vote on health care, but you also reopen the government.
I think what we've said is that we will not support a partisan Republican spending bill, which is the bill that they continue to bring before the Senate and that emerged from the House, if that bill guts the health care of the American people.
What Senator Thune is offering.
Oh, yes, but if they end the filibuster, then they don't need those Democrats anymore. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is the smoking gun, folks. Democrats holding America hostage, not for principle, out of pure cowardice. They know Trump's clean bill would work. They know federal workers are suffering. They know our military deserves their paychecks. But they're more afraid of Chuck Schumer's revenge than they are of betraying the American people. Think about that. Elected officials admitting They have the votes to help you, but refusing because they might lose their cushy committee assignments. Senator Barrasso nailed it. This is the politics of pain, and you're the one feeling it. While Pocahontas Warren and Bernie Sanders scream about health care for illegals, saying everyone's going to die.
Is the people going to die?
That's what they keep saying. Real Americans can't pay their mortgages. The establishment wants you broke, scared, and dependent. So here's my question. Should any politician who admits they're too scared to vote their conscience be immediately recalled? Yes or no? Drop your answer below and make sure you check out our merch shop and show America where you stand because it's still open. The link is in the description.